All right, you guys ready to learn about how and where to invest today? All right, good deal. So since we talked about the savings and why, compound interest and why we should save and things like that, a few of you have contacted me and say, I want to start doing this, but where do I invest, right? And so my comment to you is wait until today, after I've done how and where do I invest, and then if you still have questions, come talk to me. So if you are wanting to invest, first of all, let me just see a raise of hands. If you are more motivated now than you were at the beginning of when we started to actually invest money. Anybody more interested? All right. Hopefully you'll be even more excited after this. But we've kind of already talked about why to invest, why we're, compound interest and the benefits of it. So we're going to skip over some of this a little bit at the beginning. Each of these presentations I do out in the community of New Mexico as part of Extension, and so these are meant to be standalone presentations. So it's not bad to have a review and a reminder of things, but we're not going to go as in depth for some of the compound interest things. If you have any questions, though, as we go along, please raise your hand. That's super annoying. I'll try to fix that real quick. Got light going on enough. Oh. All right. So, a lot of people, again, are saying, where do I start? I want to invest. How do I begin, right? Where do I go? What do I start putting my money in? So we've kind of answered this question, but let's hear a couple of your answers. Why would you want to invest money?
Retirement.
Okay, retirement? To make more money. Yeah, if you put money aside and while you're sleeping or at the beach or playing volleyball or whatever you're doing, your money's earning money, what's that called? Passive income, right? You're not working, you don't physically have to go to work and put time in to earn more money because your money's working for you, earning more money. So some ways of great retiring early are getting different streams of passive income. So one way is, right, investing it. You put money in, say, diversified mutual funds, and it's gaining 8 to 10 to 12% a year. That means it's earning money without you having to work for that money, right? It's passive income. What's another form of passive income? Partnership, like for a company, right? So maybe you work hard and get a company going, and it gets to the point now that you can kind of hire a manager and it's running on its own with you kind of checking in now and then, but you're not really doing that much, but money's still coming in because of your previous efforts, right? That's passive income as well. One more. What's another example of passive income? Real estate. Yeah, that's fantastic. At the end, we're going to talk a little bit about real estate. If you have any questions about that, I dabble in multiple different types of real estate. So we'll talk about that at the end. So if you have a property, like I have a couple of rentals, it does take a little bit of time, but not much. And one of my rentals, my mortgage is $800, and the rent is $1,600. So I don't have to do too much now to handle things, but every month I get $800 coming in, right, extra. Passive income, mostly passive. So that's why we want to invest, to do things we want to do, retirement, maybe an emergency fund, to buy a home, to go on vacations. You've seen this, so the faster, the earlier you put your money in, then the faster it grows. Is that correct? So you guys and I wish that we would have started investing and using compound interest when we were like born or 5 or 8, right? So hopefully none of you are sitting here thinking, I'll do that later when I get a real job and I can get kind of a match with my employer. That's fantastic, but now is earlier than that, and the earlier you start, the faster it grows, right? Time value of money and compound interest. So you've seen this before. It's growing, but then it accelerates. So as you keep going, it would go even higher. So the longer you have money in, the larger it grows. You want to make sure you do that. Anybody recognize this? For the third time, right? All right, so who can tell me which investor, not E, has more money at retirement? D does. Because they put more money in? Because they started earlier, right? So 1.3 million from $6,700, 188-fold. So I want you guys to do that. I want you to put a little bit of money in and then let your money have babies and grandbabies and great-grandbabies so that when you retire, you have millions of dollars and you didn't really have to put too much money in. Would have helped more if you would have started at 8, but we'll work with you now. Hopefully this year, even before 2020, in 2019, make this semester, this year, the time, if you haven't yet, to start investing in something. It can be $20 a month. Okay, that's going out to eat 2 less times that month. Do something. Again, this isn't homework that I'm going to check up on. I'm trying to help you succeed and win financially. So do something. We're going to talk about how to do that. So why don't you invest? Anybody afraid what the stock market might do? Most people have fear of the stock market. So if you're not raising your hand because you don't want to show that you have fear, but I'm guessing most of you maybe have some, you're not sure about it, you're afraid that you might lose some money, you know some people who put money in and they lost some, right? It's kind of a scary thing maybe to invest in the stock market. Okay? We're going to talk about fear and fees and how those are the two things that help people, not help, but cause people to lose money. So George here said everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. You'll notice this comes up when we talk about success principles later on. That your next level of life, the next goal that you have to achieve lies just outside of your comfort zone, in your discomfort zone. Right? You're never going to grow and expand and become the person you want to be, the best version of yourself, unless you get outside of your comfort zone, which is into the discomfort zone or where fear is. It's just on the other side where fear is. Okay? So don't be afraid of that. All right, so let's listen to a Dave Ramsey. This is somebody calling in about someone that's scared to invest. See what you think here. Okay. This is not, oh yeah, husband.
I want to give you an example of how marketing and success together gave me this dream life.
We are closing in on the point where we're going to be working on step 4, investing, and we have a bit of a struggle in that area because my husband lost quite a large amount of money in the stock market in 2007, so he's very uncomfortable when it comes to the thought of ever using another dime of his money in that type of area.
I had millions of dollars in the market in 2007, and I didn't lose any money.
He lost a lot.
All right, so why? He's going to tell us right here, but why do you think Dave didn't lose any money and this lady's husband lost a lot of money?
He had a lot of baskets and a lot of eggs and didn't.
He diversified? Okay. That was, he is diversified, but that's not the reason. It doesn't matter necessarily so much what the choice of investment was. What happened to have this guy lose money where Dave did not?
He invested.
They both invested. So they're both invested. How do you lose money? If the stock market is here and it goes down, what usually happens? Comes back up, then it kind of goes down, but over time it kind of goes up, right? So it was going up and it went down, and people get scared, afraid, have fear, and what do? They sell because they don't want to lose more money. What did Dave not do? He didn't sell, and what happened? Came back up. If that guy didn't sell and it came back up, then would he have lost any money? He would not have. It's only a loss on paper unless you sell. So listen to what Dave says.
Why? You know why he lost a lot?
I don't think
I do, because he sold at the bottom.
Yeah.
He bought high and panicked and sold low. He thought the whole world was coming to an end. He got out at exactly the wrong time.
Probably the case.
So what is quite a lot of money?
I mean, it's several $100,000 to us. That's a lot. It was an inheritance, and so.
So he had money invested in mutual funds?
I'm not sure about the details since we weren't together at that time. I just know that anytime we talk about investing, he gets this horrified look on his face, and he's like, I can't do that again.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to either have good talking points to steer us back down that direction, or, you know, what is if it's just not going to happen. And,
Okay,
you know,
let me give you an example. Okay, so here's some talking points. Let's talk this
Okay.
out. Basically, the only way he lost $200,000 in the market is if he started with $400,000 at the top of the market and he sold it at the bottom of the market. Okay? That's the only way that's possible, mathematically. Unless he invested in a company in single stock that went completely broke. And then you might lose it, quote, all. But if it were invested in mutual funds, the stock market went from a 14,000 Dow to a 6,900 Dow. Okay? Which means it went in half.
yeah.
And today it's in the 16,000 range. And so any money, if you had stayed in, if you were in a growth stock mutual fund or a series of growth stock mutual funds, your 400,000 would have gone down to 200,000, and now it would be 500,000 or 600,000.
Yeah.
All right, so what did he say? It was 400 as the example. It went down to about 200, and that guy freaked out, didn't want to lose all of it. So he did what? He sold. If he would have just stayed in, then now it would be worth what? 500 or 600, which is more than the 400. So does this make sense? Tony Robbins did an interview with 50 of the smartest financial people, and they said the main ways people lose money are fear, which is what he's talking about here, and fees. And we're talking about fees in a little bit, of how much that can eat up your money. So fear and fees. All right. Anybody know anybody like that? That maybe got out because they didn't want to lose all their money? I know a lot of people that did that. So the goal of today is I'm trying to teach you guys a few concepts, and we'll make sure we summarize at the end. But you want to get in the game, and you don't want to get out. So Dave Ramsey uses like a roller coaster as an example. And you don't get hurt on the roller coaster unless you try to get off while it's going, right? Whether it's high or low, you jump off, you're probably going to get hurt. If you stay on, then it's going to go up over time. And so the goal is to get in the game, and the game is investing. So we're going to look at some examples of, well, what if I'm trying to time the market? What if it's really high right now? Should I wait? Anybody have that question? Is it going to go down and then I should get in then? We're going to talk about that. All right. So you want to figure out what your goals are. That's always good. And that motivates you then to put aside money to accomplish those goals. So there's short-term, mid-term, and long-term. We won't go into that too much. But everybody should retire a millionaire. In fact, retire early with multi-millionaire. And you can do that if you start when you're young. All right, so here's some different things we're going to talk about briefly. This is kind of, you don't necessarily need to know all of this now. We want to get to the part where what you can do today, right? So there's pre-tax investment accounts. That's 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, and thrift savings plans. So a 401k is you go to a company and you work there, and they have a retirement that you can participate in. That would be a 401k. Here is a university, or if you teach in the county, that's a state-run institution. It's like a 401k, but it's called a 403b. It's the same thing, but it's just one's government, one's out there in the community, right? For profit. And so you can invest in those. A lot of times, those have what we call matches. They match. And so here at the university, you put in 10.5%, which they make you do. You actually don't get to opt out of that. 10.5% of my gross income goes into the 403b, and they match it 10.75%. So the amount of money I go in, let's just say I put $300 in, they're going to put like $310 in. Is that good? Yeah, my money automatically just doubled like that, right? Most places you go and work, they'll have the option to participate in the 401k and say, you have a match. We'll match you dollar for dollar up to 3% or 5%. Or we'll match 50% of whatever you put in up to 8%, whatever it is. That is free money, free money. You should maximize your match. That's the number one thing you should do when you get a job is maximize the match. Because if you're saying no because you have too much student loan debt you're paying on, or you're wanting to pay for this expensive truck that you just bought and things, you're saying not only paying interest on the back end of that debt, but you're saying no to free money that they're willing to give you. If I said you put $300 in this bank account and I'll put $300 in, and you're like, nah, I got to pay my student loan debt, I'm not going to put $300 in. Okay, that sounds pretty stupid, right? So maximize the match. That's what you want to be doing. Over here on the tax-free accounts is the Roth 401k and the Roth IRA. So the difference is with these pre-tax accounts, you put money in and then it lowers your taxable amount of money. So let's say you're making $100,000 and you invest $15,000 into one of these. It's pre-tax. That means you're only going to be taxed on now $85,000, right? Because they don't count the $15,000 that you invested. So that's pretty good, right? You lower your taxable rate. So now you're paying taxes on less money. The after tax or the tax-free is you get your $100,000 and you get taxed on all of it, but then you take your after-tax dollars and invest, and it grows, and then when you pull it out, you get it tax-free. On this one, you don't get taxed on it, you put it in, it grows, and when you pull it out, you get taxed on it. So it's like a little seed or a tree, right? Would you rather pay tax on the seed or on the giant tree? The seed. So you want to go this route. Pay the tax on your income, take after-tax dollars and invest it into Roth 401ks or IRAs. It grows, and then all that money's tax-free. Instead of having $3 million when you retire, tax-free, doing this over here, all of a sudden $3 million is going to be taxed on it when you only invested maybe $400,000. Get taxed on the $400,000, be tax-free on the $3 million. Does this make sense? All right, so Roth is your friend. All right, there's savings accounts, CD, stocks, mutual funds, etc. If you want to know the definition of those, you can go look them up. Stocks, these are kind of the higher risk down to the lower risk, right? We saw this before. Stocks and mutual funds. So stock is investing in a single company like Apple or Google or Amazon, right? Sometimes it goes super great and it goes up and you're like, sweet, I'm doing awesome. But what happened if, and this has happened many times in the past, this stock that's rocking all of a sudden crashes and all of your eggs are in that one basket. You're only invested in that company. You just lost all your money, right? And it's not going to come back up because the company went bankrupt and closed. You just lost it all. So mutual funds instead is kind of putting like 500 different stocks all in a nice folder, and you're investing in the folder, right? That's portfolio. So some of them might go up and some of them might go down, but overall, these 400 or 500 stocks are going up. And so it's much less risky because you're investing in diversified over 500 different companies instead of 1 or 2 or 3. Does that make sense? So mutual funds are better. Okay? We're going to get into that a little bit. We'll watch a little bit of this one. This is invest for the long haul, and this is why we do this.
What I learned later is when you make a website for your videos or for your work or what.
So, this is the NBC story. As stocks have become mighty volatile, long-term investors could be induced to become more short-term oriented in their thinking, buying stocks on a single day's rally or selling after a swift 11% decline, such as we saw last week. Based on the historical performance of the S&P 500, it's that second decision, the fear-based move to sell, that is the more dangerous one. Let me try that again, so make sure you hear that. Based on the historical performance of the S&P 500, it's the second decision, the fear-based move to sell, that is the more dangerous one. In fact, even if one was the world's worst market timer over the past several decades, one still made money on stocks, according to an analysis done by institutional portfolio manager and financial writer Ben Carlson. He names his awful, or perhaps unlucky investor, Bob.
All right, so he's going to give an example here. This is Bob. This answers your question, but I'm trying to time the market. Like, it's kind of high. I don't want to buy now. I want to wait. When should I buy? When should I sell? Okay, this Bob bought at the worst times and sold at the worst times, right? He bought high and sold low every single time. And even with doing that, listen to how he ends up.
Hypothetically, Bob made his first investment in the beginning of 1973, right before a 48% crash of the market, the S&P 500. He bought as high as he could buy. It dropped almost in half. This is me summarizing. Bob then held on to the stocks after the drop, saving a total of $46,000 and not getting up the gumption to commit any more savings until again he bought in September of 1987, right before a 34% crash. Bob then continued to hold tight, making only 2 more investments before retirement, which came right before the 2000 crash and then the 2007 crash. So how did Bob do with our hypothetical investment after these 42 years of epic market misfortune? He bought right before the 4 largest drops in the market, the 4 worst times since 1975. Now I'm summarizing, okay? So how did he do it? Well, he made money. And in fact, he made a lot of money. As the market successfully made record highs, Bob turned the $184,000 that he invested on those 4 events, just at those 4 events. $6,000 in 1973, $46,000 in 1987, $68,000 in 2000, $64,000 in 2007. $184,000 turned into $1,160,000 for a total profit of $980,000. That represents an annualized return of roughly 9% on a money-weighted basis. Even after accounting for inflation, Bob has increased his wealth substantially by investing in stocks and never selling. The key is that Bob never, ever sold his holdings. Instead of riding the stock market's long-term trend higher, instead he rode the trend higher. This hypothetical analysis reveals that it is critical to really understand your time horizon and that you need to think long-term.
All right, so what did we learn from that? Did he make any money? So I said he sold but he didn't sell. He just bought at the worst times, and then he kept his money. Did he still make money? Yeah.
How do you make money without selling?
That's a good question. So he made money on paper. So as it goes up in value, he's made money. So he doesn't, I guess, get the money until he sells, right? But this was for retirement. So he's just putting money aside for retirement. And he had an average of what return per year? 9. That's pretty good, right? So it goes up. So like, let's say Amazon is a stock, right? It used to be, if you would have invested, I think, $100 in Amazon when it started, the $100 would now be worth, I can't remember, it was like $385,000 or something like that. Why? How does that go up? Because as the company does better and better and more people invest, the stock price goes up of what it costs, and people are willing to pay more and more and more for it because it's more and more valuable. So when you bought it down here at 100, and then it splits and splits and does all these things, now it's worth, your stock that you bought is worth $385,000. So as the company improves and does better, you get some of that profit from what everybody does. So he made money. He didn't sell it yet, but the money's there on paper, okay? So the key is to stay in the game. So here's an example that I did. This was from Fidelity, though. I didn't do this. This was 93 to 2011. So this is somebody that did perfect timing. They did opposite. When it crashed, they bought, right? Versus the worst timing, they like that other guy, Bob, they bought and then it crashed, okay? Here's staying in cash and not doing anything, not investing because you're too afraid to invest. This is you invest immediately. You have money. As soon as you have money, boom, you put it in. I've got $10,000. Boom, I put it in. I got another $3,000. Boom, I put it in, right? This is called dollar cost averaging. That means I'm putting in $300 a month. and sometimes it's high and sometimes it's low, but I'm putting the same amount in, and if it's lower, I buy more of it. If it goes up, I buy less, but I'm happy because it's going up. Does this make sense? So dollar cost averaging is just the same every month versus invest as soon as you get it, worst timing and perfect timing. Okay? So they have $87,000. I can't remember how much they put in, but it's the same amount across all of them. And at the end, from 93 to 2012, this person has $87,000. That's pretty good. Again, I don't remember. Let's just say it's $40,000, okay? So staying in cash investments, they're at 51, which is the worst, because these guys are afraid and didn't know what to do. Perfect timing, this is what everybody wants to do, but we don't know what that is. And then, is this very far behind if you invest immediately? No. Is this very far behind if you do dollar cost averaging? No. Is this as good? No, but it's better than this one, right? So even if you're the worst market timer ever, it's still better than not doing anything. Does this make sense? So if people ask me when should I start investing, my answer is now. Well, what if I invest and it goes down? It doesn't matter. Because guess what's going to happen? It's going to go back up. Over the last 100 years, the market, last 30 years, let's say, because that's what I have the data for, is you get an average of 10.4% average return. Okay? If you would have sold or not been in there because you're trying to time the market for the 10 best trading days of 30 years, your 10% would only be 4%. You'd only get a return of 4% instead of 10. If you missed the 20 best days, again, over 30 years, 20 days of investing, the 20 best, you'd only have 2%. And if you missed the 30 days, you would have lost money. So do we want to try to figure out when those 30 days are, the best time? Or do we just want to get in? We just want to get in, right? Well, we'll get into that in a minute. Jumping ahead. So what's one of the key takeaways? Get in the game. Start now. Don't worry about if it's up or down. That doesn't matter, okay? So here's writing up and downs. Here's Apple. You can see, is it straight line up? Or what if you bought here, like I did, and then it went down? Does that make you sad? Yeah, I got a little sad. A little tear came down my eye. But I would only have lost money if I sold, right? What if I stayed in and I bought here? Do I have more money now? I do. So this is the same as most stocks or mutual funds or the stock market in general, okay? So the correction, this is what I was going to say. A correction is a drop from 10% of its peak. That happens on average every year. So you should expect it. So I know that we don't get a lot of snow here in Las Cruces, but you guys know what snow is, right? You know what winter is? Does winter come every year? Yeah. Do you get like surprised when it shows up? Nope, it just comes every year. So if we know that there is a market correction that lasts an average of 1 to 2 months every year, then when it comes, are we going to be surprised? No, because it's going to come. That's just on average what happens. So instead of freaking out and selling because it came, we were like, oh, winter's here, fantastic. Then the bear market drops 20% or more. That happens about every 5 years, and lasts usually about a little less than a year to about a year and a half. So when that happens, like we just had it, right, that lasted a little longer than normal with the 2007, 2008, the housing bubble burst and it went down. When it comes and it goes down, and that's when that lady's husband dropped 50%, right, and her 400,000 went to 200,000, we say, oh, bear market comes every about 5 years. Here it is. What would be the smart thing to do instead of sell? What would be smarter? To wait. What would be even smarter than that? Invest more. Right? If you have a car that you want and it's $20,000 and all of a sudden it drops to $10,000, is that a good time to buy it? Yeah. Especially when you know what? It's going to go up. So cars depreciate, but these don't. So if you have $20,000 in there and it drops to 10, and you don't sell and it goes back up to 20 and even higher, what happens if you buy more at 10 and then it goes up to 30? You just tripled your money, right? So the key, the thing that I try to do and I tell everybody to try to do is get in the game, doesn't matter what it's doing. If all of a sudden a correction or a bear market hits, try to have a little bit of money aside or available and boom, stick that in and buy low, right? And then hold. It's gonna go up and then guess what it's gonna do again? It's going to be down, right? It's going to go up and down, but over time it goes up. On average, about 10% a year. That's the average. Stock market average is 8 to 12%. So if you are staying in and don't sell, but instead when it goes down, buy, then you're going to, instead of getting 8 to 12%, you're going to be getting more like 20 to 25 to even 30%. That means your money will double every like 3 to 4 years. So your 10,000 turns to 20, and 20 to 40, and 40 to 80, and 80. That's if you don't invest anymore, right? So as you're investing, your money doubles faster. So that's the trick. You get in the game, you buy mutual funds that we're going to talk about, index mutual funds, and then when it goes down that you're expecting it to happen, you don't freak out and sell. You say, yeah, and you buy more. That's what I do. Okay? That's the trick. So we showed you this before. Are the returns, do I need to show you this? The T-row price? Are the rates 10-year returns? Can you get 8 to 12%? Right, 10-year here. Do we have some over the last 10 years that have good Morningstar ratings that are getting above 8 to 10%? Yes. So these are all mutual funds. So when people say, yeah, you're using 10% or 12%, nobody gets that return. Say, well, these guys have for the last 10 years, and there's lots of them like that. So go and pick a couple of those, invest in that. In fact, you can see, it's hard to see here, but this is global technology. Here's health sciences, right? Here's blue chip. Here's growth stock, mid cap. Okay, these are different asset types. And so instead of just a mutual fund is lots of different stocks in that fund. And so global technology, what kind of funds would be in that, or what kind of stocks or companies would be in that fund? Technology stocks, right? Like is Netflix technology? Is Google? Yeah, so these technology stocks are in there. So it's diversified over lots of technology stocks, but it's only in technology. Healthcare, they don't have any healthcare stocks. So you're like, well, that's a different area of the economy that I also want to participate in. So I'm also going to put some money in this health sciences fund, which has returned 17.8% over the last 10 years, right? So now you have a little bit of money in this fund that's technology, some money in this fund, which is healthcare, a little money over here, which is like a blue chip, which we'll talk about later. We don't have enough time to get into small and mid and all those. But 2 or 3 or 4 different mutual funds that have low costs, low fees, that are different sectors of the economy. Does that make sense? Is this making sense to you guys? You're like, where do I do this though? How do I do this, right? Okay. All right, best for long term, don't panic, don't sell. Fees are huge. So fees need to be 1% or less. Fidelity, I won't click there, has now some no cost, 0 cost mutual funds that you can invest in. Vanguard, Schwab, Betterment.com, Homestead, all of these have very low cost, what's called index funds. So an index fund, anybody know what an index fund is versus a mutual fund? An index fund is not managed actively. So if I were a portfolio manager and people looked and said, hey, look, Bryce has returned an average of 14% for the last 10 years. I'm going to invest not in the fund, but the fund manager, which is Bryce, because he knows what he's doing and he's been there and he does the return. So I'm going to invest wherever he is, what he's doing. But guess what I'm going to charge for that? I have people, I hire you guys out of college, right? You come and work for me and you want a big salary. So I'm paying you, I'm paying myself, I'm taking money. This costs money and it's fees. So my fee might be 0.79 or 1.2% of what you earn, I get. Index funds doesn't have a fund manager. It's just automatically, it's like algorithm. It's like searching something on Google. You don't search something on Google and somebody's on the other side trying to find it for you. It just happens, right? So index funds, it says, hey, the 500 S&P index fund, which is one of the ones I would invest in if I were you, right? Just says whatever the top 500 largest companies are in the US, that's what's in the fund. The end. So guess what it costs to be in that one? 0.04% or free. Fidelity. Does this make sense? Would you rather pay 1.2% to me or 0.04%? The lower one. The difference is every 1% in fees costs a decade of income when you retire. If you start now, how much money you would have? Difference between 1% in fees is a decade, 10 years of retirement income. Is that a lot? Yeah. So again, Tony Robbins said there's two things that kill people's investments. Fear, selling when they're not supposed to when it goes down, and fees, paying people too much money to do things. When you go to an investment person and say, hey, I need your help to invest, do you think they do that for free? No. They charge a fee, and then the investments they're buying, they get some back end on, so there's some fees. And then the people that own those are getting some fees. Guess what would be way better? You just invest yourself into index funds, and then you don't pay those fees. So you guys ever played blackjack before? 21, where you say hit me, or I don't want to get hit, right? You're trying to get as close to 21. Anybody know what I'm talking about? All right, so if you got two, like a king and a jack, and you had 20, who would say hit me? You would? To get to 21? All right, so you'd lose your money. Good job. Anybody else say hit me? You're playing against the house, right? You have 20. You don't know what they're going to turn over, but they might be 21. Almost nobody, I was going to say nobody, but he said he would, so almost nobody would do that, right? Well, this is what he said about this. It says 96% of actively managed funds, mutual funds, don't beat the market index fund over a 15-year time period. They might short term, but over 15 years, the index fund beats them 96% of the time. And they have higher fees. So why would you ever invest in mutual funds that have fees when you can just do index funds that wins 96% of the time? It's like saying, instead of going with these index funds that have lower fees and beat the market all the time, I'm going to say hit when I have 20 and hopefully get a 1. Okay, almost no one's going to do that. So we don't need to. So index funds is the second thing that I want you to remember that you want to invest in. So I'll show you where to go to invest, and you can start just putting $20 a month in, automatically transferred from your checking or your savings account into an index fund, and you can then open 2 or 3 in different areas, right? Because there's S&P index, there's an index fund that you can do in technology or healthcare, et cetera, that have very low to even zero with Fidelity fees. So now you're investing in something that beats the actively managed funds with a fund portfolio manager like me. I'm not really, but the example, that's going to charge you a lot. You don't need to do that. So where do we invest, guys? Do we invest in individual stocks or mutual funds? Mutual funds. Do we want actively traded, actively managed mutual funds, or is it better to do index funds? Index funds, right? So what are the companies we can go to? And then when it goes down, do we want to freak out and sell or just say, oh, it's wintertime, and maybe I should buy some more, right? These are the tricks. If you guys just do this thing, you guys will be light years ahead of all these other people that are trying to invest and time the market. Doesn't matter when we invest. If we have money now, should we just start right now? Yes, we should. All right. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so anybody done Acorns or Digit? Okay. That's some ways that automatically you can start having funds so that every month, money from there, you can start investing in one of these other Roth IRAs or 401k. You don't have a 401k, but a Roth IRA you can open up, which again, you pay taxes on, and then you invest it, and it grows tax-free. So I would open at Homestead Funds, Betterment Funds, Betterment.com. Just click on these. Fidelity that has 0 costs. Right here's Homestead Funds. You just go here. You can open an account. There's the story and all these things. You can watch a video. There's phone numbers you can call. But both of these places, Betterment.com, okay, for investing. the reason why I like these is it's for new investors and people that have been investing for a long time. So you could be doing it and I could be doing it. If you only have $20 a month that automatically goes in, they have an account, different investment options for you with index funds. So you could just call either of these, again, or Vanguard, or Fidelity, or Schwab. All of these are good places that have low, but I picked these two because they're really helpful for new investors. And just say, I want to open an account. I learned in my class that I should start investing. I want a Roth IRA. I want to open that up. And I want to be able to put in minimum of 20, maybe $20 to $50 a month automatically into an account, into an index fund, the lowest, like some low-cost index funds. How do I do that? And they will happily walk you through of how to do that. So where do you go to invest? Betterment, Homestead, Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. Those are the 5 I would recommend. Okay? You can write those down if you want. And you just call them up. And then what are you investing in? A Roth IRA. You have to have an IRA, you have to be employed. So if you're not earning any income, you're not going to show any, then you just have to open up an index fund that you're going to get taxed on, right? It's different. But if you're employed and it takes some of your money that you earn, then now you can open a Roth IRA, individual retirement account, and start putting money in there. And then you create a link between your savings account or your checking, or maybe you do a second checking or whatever you want to do, that money once a month on, say, the 8th of the month, automatically, boom, $20 goes to this Betterment account, invested in a S&P 500 index fund. Boom, now you know how to invest. And then as you see it growing, you say, I think I can do more than 20, I'm going to do 30. And then you're like, I don't have to go to Starbucks all the time, I'm going to do 40. I'm going to start bringing food from home and eating more at home instead of eating out, I'm going to do 60. Because you get excited about the potential of earning more money, right? Passive income. Because if you start earlier now, the more you put in, time value of money, what happens later? Huge amounts of money are going to come to you because you're getting compound interest. Or you could just keep going on doing what you're doing, not invest anything and go out to eat, spend your money on stupid stuff and not have that money, right? Is that how you win with money though? No. Okay. Any questions about these places to invest? Somebody comes up and asks me, where do I invest? And you can't tell me these. I'm going to tell you to go and re-listen to my video and come back. You can come and talk to me. I'm happy to talk to you about investing, but you need to understand what I'm telling you now. So where do you invest? You can start with Acorns and Digit, and then that money you can open up one of these accounts and automatically have money transferred there, right? Okay. So where are we at? Got a little bit more time. Let me show you what Dave Ramsey, what he recommends. He does, well, I'll show you this. People like Dave Ramsey. I like Dave Ramsey. We read his Total Money Makeover in my other 3 credit class when I teach that. So here's his philosophy. Right? These are the same things. He recommends a Roth, fully fund a Roth IRA. And then, so his number 1, invest up to the match, because that's free money, right? So if you are, it's my 6-minute warning. If you are employed and they have a match, you want to fully invest in that first, because that's free money. After that, once you've invested the total, maximized your match, then you fully fund a Roth IRA. That's what I was saying, right? And what percentage of your gross income on average do you want to invest? It's 15%. So that's what you want to be doing. So for me, and they force me to, right? Which is good, I guess. I don't need to be forced, but other people do. 10.5% of my income, and they match it 10.5%, then how much of my gross income is being invested? 21%, right? 10.5 from them, 10.5 from me. So at least you want to get to 15% of gross income, which is before taxes, income invested in these things. That's the goal. All right, so this is what Dave Ramsey invests in. What does this say? Mutual funds. Okay, that's the only thing he invests in. What does he not recommend? ETFs, single stocks, CDs, bonds, annuities, Our REITs, this is a different type of investment. All these whole life or variable cash life insurance, all these things. He doesn't invest in any of those. He just does mutual funds, and he diversifies it. I guess I have it on my, in this way. He does 25% into international, 25% in growth and income, growth and aggressive growth. So again, you can, if you want more information on that, I'll send you some links that you can read about this, but that's how he does his. So you want to diversify, I told you, across different asset classes like healthcare and technology. Here's a fun thing that we do in my other class. This is called How the Market Works. You can go to How the Market Works and get $100,000 of play money, fake money, and start investing with real life, real time in market analysis. So if you're investing in Apple or, well, you probably wouldn't want to do that. You could probably play a little bit, but you want to do mutual funds, right? And invest in mutual funds. You can see what your money would do in the market, the real market, if you were to invest that. So you can practice, if you want to, with more money here. Now, that doesn't mean practice and don't do anything. $20 isn't a lot, guys. Open up an account and start doing $20 a month into a S&P 500 index fund, okay? That's where you can start. Then, as that's going, come and learn more about it and how the market works. They have videos. They have things you can read about. They have the 100,000 where you can invest in different things. You can try individual stocks. You can try bonds if you want. ETFs, mutual funds. What are those? They tell you on there. You can just click. So my other class does this for the whole semester, and we see how well we do and the reasons we do things. But it's a fun thing. It's free. And if you want to learn more about it, I'd recommend going there. All right, real estate. Why is real estate so awesome? The last couple of minutes that I have. Real estate is fantastic. A lot of people become millionaires and billionaires through real estate. Passive income. So you buy a house. Let me give you an example. I bought a house in 2009, I think, out in Arizona for $150,000 as an investment, right? It is now worth $300,000. What's that? My money doubled, right? The asset. That's called appreciation. It appreciated. So I own, and to own the whole 150, I only had to put down 20%, which was $30,000. So I put in $30,000, and my 150 went to 300. So on $30,000, I made $150,000, which is a 500% return, right? On appreciation only. But I only pay $800 a month to my mortgage and insurance and things, and they pay $1,600 a month. So that's $800 a month cash flow.
Why did you pick that house?
Why what?
Why did you pick that house?
It was I had a realtor, and they found different ones, and that was the first one that worked. I said, let's get it. So there are lots of different houses. When the housing bubble burst, homes that were in California, Vegas, Arizona, DC, and these places, Northern Virginia, dropped. They tanked. So something that was $350,000, all of a sudden now you can get for $150 or $200. So if you would have bought it, just like when the stock goes down and you buy in, right, at $150, then it goes back up to $300. Now it's yours, and you own this piece of property worth more. Principal reduction. So I own the home of $120,000 because I put $30,000 in. But what's my renter doing? Paying my mortgage off. So it's going down. I don't still owe $120. I owe like $99 because my renter, you guys, are paying off my mortgage. Thank you. Tax savings. I get to take depreciation on my home, and any taxes I pay on my home taxes, I deduct on my income. And then again, I leverage the money. So there's lots of ways. I have 3 Airbnbs currently here in the area. I'm getting a 4-plex with the builder that's going to be 4, and then I'm looking at about 3 more that I'll have by January. Airbnbs are awesome. They cash flow awesome. So my property that they give me $1,600 on, right, that you could maybe get $1,500 here, with Airbnb, I'd be getting $2,500 to $3,500 a month instead of $1,500. So you almost double your cash flow. You guys have seen these on TV, fix and flips, wholesaling, long-term rentals. Why is this not working? All right. That's basically it. So hopefully you guys know, I'll just summarize in about 15 seconds here. Start now. Don't worry about fear, right? Just understand that winter's coming and it's going to go down, and you're like, yes, this is exciting, buy more. start to do something, get some $20 going into one of these Roth IRAs if you can, and try to use index funds to limit the fees, okay? You guys have a plan, something you can take action on? Excited about investing more hopefully today? All right, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, guys.